Well, it's been, I don't even remember what my last video was. Oh, I was planting beans. That's what it was. Combine here, it needs to go in the shed. We ought to do a rundown. I'm just going to show y'all. You guys ain't really seen it that much, and there's some stuff I got to do to it to get it ready for this fall. Figured I'd show you guys before I get her some of it's tucked away in the shed. And I was talking to my parts man, ordering parts. I didn't have paper. Oh, duct tape on my pants leg, write down my parts numbers. But some of the things I'm really wanting to do to it, which depends on what we got for money here. Oh man, one-handed. Over here, one of my big things, my variable speed belt for my cylinder. I think it's about gone. There ain't, which you can see there's chunks out of it. I was just praying to God it would survive long enough. Why don't we open this shield up? Could do that, couldn't we? Just praying. Here comes something down the road. John Deere sprayer. But that's one thing I need to get done. The oil pan does leak. I don't know. That's a lot of work. I'm here all by myself trying to pull that pan out of there. I don't know. Might be able to take that cross member out and get it out, maybe. I need to do, but that belt's one thing on the list. We gotta get the chopper back on it, of course. It's sitting over there on the truck. That worked out perfect. Back the combine right up to it. Slid it off. Done. So, and before I get any shit, I don't drive Fords, but that was my grandpa's. That's why it's still here. This here, you guys see what's left of that sprocket? It's on borrowed time. My chain's on borrowed time, and my paddles are about worn out. I'm gonna see what I can do about getting them new. The flighting here, it's just about gone. So, knock on wood, this is my lower return auger, and that's the only auger on here. It probably doesn't have a hole in it. Gotta do that. Let me open up some more shields here. Of course, that one there's one thing too. If anybody has one of these, I don't care if it's I just know the 87s and 8900s. This gearbox right here, greasing this should be like religious. I'm talking, you got to tear into one of them, you're going to have problems. And these gears right here are discontinued. And if the shaft is discontinued, so if you got to cut that shaft, you ought to go find you a parts machine. Because we did one on, you can see it. That's an 89. There's an 87 behind this J&M wagon in that shed. We did one on it, and everything was so rusted and seized up in there. We had to pull the unloader off, pull that, I believe they call it a turret auger, up out of there. And shield's locked, but up here in the tank, we ended up torching a hole just so we could get in there better to get heat. But we ended up having to cut that auger out, and luckily I knew a guy who lived pretty close to me. We ended up getting the auger out of his. He's got a shed full of parts, and I wish I could go get my hands on them. And I need to repair my cross augers in here. The lower parts are starting to wear through. They're getting thin. Bean head wise, it needs a few sickles, I think. I don't know if it'll pick them up here. They're just about worn out. Need a couple sickles on it. A few, whatever you want to call them, fingers. Couple of them. Other than that, the bean head, it's ready to go. And we're going to service the old girl, which that oil pan leaking, it changes its own oil pretty well. I don't know. Oh, and I've had trouble with this. I don't know if last year, you might look back on Ross the Oliver Man's page. I was shelling corn for him and we had a fire. It was back here where all this crap is. And that's my fault. Because this back here is the header clutch. And they're electronic. Well, the electronic part went out of this one. Because all it is a big magnet. And in the book, I don't know if you can see that grade 8 bolt right there. In the book, there's pins you could put in there. I'm assuming if you didn't want a magnetic clutch, if you just wanted to turn it on and everything ran. Well, I had that go out on me. It even went out on that 89 out there. It still has some issues. But there's a shield back here because I had it. It's also connected to my beater. Well, the keyways on the beater sheared off last year in beans. I took all this off and I forgot to put that shield back in there, and the only way to get that shield in there is to pull all that crap apart. And I'm just not looking forward to it. But I mean, I'm trying to make this video interesting and go along with it, but except for I need another tire. They don't match sizes. This thing is pretty much field ready. I could go shell corn with it tomorrow if I really had to. I don't know. I'll catch you back here in a minute. We might go look at, I don't know, if it's worth looking at the other combines. Have I ever showed them? Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. We might go out there and look at them. I'll put that in this video, and I guess I'll catch you back in a minute. Well, we're back out here. This combine sitting here, it really breaks my heart to see it sitting like this, but like I said, I'm one man and it's hard to do things, but this thing is hardly worn out. It is a low-hourred machine. I just need a feeder house chain, a clutch plate up there, and like I was talking about, this header clutch that I believe I have not robbed off of this one, actually. No. What did I take off of here? The belt's off of it. Oh, that goes up top. But this combine, there ain't no leaks in it. I mean, somebody's license plate. But the inside of it's in good shape. Tires are a little weather cracked. They're not even worn out. This combine here there's where it came from. This thing I'm talking that come from there. This one come from Schmidt Sales and Service, Greenfield. But this combine, I mean, it's a jewel. I mean, it's gonna come back to life. I don't know how soon or what, but I've robbed that off of there. I robbed the return grain elevator belt off of it, and a power steering line I have robbed off of it. I mean, this thing is cherry. This one and the one I just showed you in the video, both my 89s, actually I drove this one. We drove them 100 miles. Exactly 100 miles from where I bought them to my house. And that's concerning. There's no fuel cap on there. People's been stealing. But this thing, I mean, it's honestly, I want to get it going so bad. If I get big enough on this channel, and I think we're going to have a revival process on this one. But I got it in the dry. Like I said, it's low hour and everything, and with this video too, I figured this is my 8700. This is the first combine I personally ever bought. It is a true blue parts machine right now. I don't think I've ever shelled a full hopper of corn with it since I owned it. I bought it and probably shouldn't have bought it, but it's in the dry. It's literally parts from my 89s or whatever will fit off of it onto them. When I first bought it, I knew nothing about these hydrostat combines. We'd had a 7300 is all I've ever ran. I drove it 10 miles in second gear because the owner told me that was road gear. When I got home, I figured out that wasn't road gear. So that kind of made me mad. It took me all evening to get home. But this is the one we put that unloader bearing on. And after we did that, I went and shelled corn with it, and I couldn't get it to quit spitting out corn. Come to find out, my grain pan was shot. I mean, it was done. So once that happened, it sat outside for a year, and we tried working on it. I put a bunch of new parts and stuff on it. Well, that didn't, then it wouldn't run. My clicky clack pump or whatever it's called, it wouldn't. It gave me hell. Then it gelled up. I guess it had biodiesel in it, and it never seen the field again. It probably never will, but it's here. It's for parts. I can't junk anything that's a white, I guess, is my problem. While we're out here, this thing here, actually not this last year, but it plants all of our wheat. It's got a problem somewhere. Let me find it. Somewhere, I don't know if it's right here or something. Somewhere one of my gears quit making contact, and that shut me down, and I'm gonna get her fixed, I guess. It's a good old drill. I got a parts one of these actually sitting over in the other shed. We planted all of it this year, this old John Deere from my bosses. Told him I'd put it in the shed if I could use it. That's a pretty good deal. While we're out here, it's got this as an old Cogger, I think is what it's called. I used that before I bought my Brent auger I got. It's a good auger. The only reason I use that Brent is because it's hydraulic lift. And if you've ever cranked one of these up to a grain bin, you know that you definitely want hydraulics. This thing here come from the neighbors. I got it. It's an Oliver Superior groundhog hole. The gearbox or something up with it. It needs all new tubes. Chains are off of it. It's here. I guess is all I can say. It's here. Then we got a New Idea spreader. I use this thing every fall. And I can't tell you who made that or what it's a hay loader, but who it's made by, well, what's this say? Let's say New Idea, maybe? I don't know. Anybody knows what brand that is, let me know. It looks like NEW IDEA, New Idea. It just got ruined because of the dang groundhogs. Them things are a nuisance around here. And this right here is a 15-foot quick cut head. The reason it isn't being used is, I don't know if you guys remembered my video the other day. I said I bolt my heads on now. Well, I didn't on this one. That one's still there, the other one's gone. Well, had it hooked up on actually this 89 sitting over here in the shed, cruising right along. Next thing I know, bang, this comes off. At the time, it's the only thing I had, so we had to weld that end. This comes off, head twists sideways, screws that shaft up. We had to tear all this crap apart to get it unhooked, and after that happened, I started bolting my bean heads down. But here's where this one came from. I mean, it's a good old head yet, but all the parts should be. It's missing a slip clutch. I did rob a slip clutch off of it for that 20 foot. That's one thing I want. I gotta see if AGCO makes them yet. But everything's there. It's just, it's sitting in the shed. There's the old wood stove. The combines isn't as antique as this cabin sitting here. This actually is the first house ever built on this farm. I don't know how old it is. It's got whole trees underneath of it, holding it up. And them are some big old logs. I mean, them are some big trees. All axe cut. It used to be 2 stories. And from what I was told, the roof got ripped off and thrown over there in that pond. Then they built this lean-to over top of it. And back in the day, they just stacked hay around is what they used this shed for. Now it's got all my treasures parked in it. But I figured I'd show you these combines. Like I said, this one, it's the end of its life. It's going to live on hopefully through that combine and the one over there, but that's the first one I bought, so I don't think I could scrap it ever. Got a good motor in it. But I don't know. I just figured I'd make a video. If y'all like this video, go ahead and give me a comment, a like, and a follow. We'll catch you on the next one.